I know a lot of players have tried this strategy, certainly in sealed because your sealed decks lend you towards that, but in draft it's a little bit harder to do. We're ready to watch Harry do a draft right now, so we will see what Corvese does open. Harry, a player with 3 Grand Prix top 8s. This is number 4 now, so congratulations again to him. He's headed back to the Pro Tour. We'll see him play at Pro Tour Washington, D.C. as he does open a pack, and we are underway here. We'll see what he's able to find. Looks like he was the one that opened up the copy of Temur Ascendancy, but it doesn't look like he has any interest in going that route. I imagine he has interest in taking these lands early or ways to just get to a longer game, as he does pull Temur Ascendancy, to the front of his pack.
Yeah, we also know that Master the Way is going to make it all the way back to Melissa. Ifrit Weaponsmith was not there by the time you saw it, neither was Seeker of the Way.
See, Mystic of the Hidden Way may be a card that Harry is considering here.
And that's really interesting. That's a card that I've seen a lot of people be divided on. Yeah, it's monocolored, so it's a good conservative pick, but on power level, it's a lot lower than some of the other cards in this pack.
Decisions. Looks like he took Seeker of the Way, so Harry using the full clock there before selecting the 2/2. That does have lifelink and the ability to get a little bit bigger.
Yeah, Seeker of the Way, been a player in Constructed. It's interesting to see it first picked in Limited. It is a very solid 2-drop, but I haven't seen a lot of decks so far that have been able to really capitalize on prowess.
Blossoming Sands. There's also a Jeskai Ascendancy. Perhaps it's time for a little bit of a brewski poo.
Oh man, so Jeskai Ascendancy can be pretty dominant in Limited as well. It would be very good in a Seeker of the Way style deck, as you can imagine. Question is how aggressive would you want to be with your mana, and how safe? Mardu Hateblade's a real safe pick. Jeskai Ascendancy though, if stories are true about the rares, yeah, I was gonna say not someone to pass up a good rare.
Now this is gonna be fun. I don't know where this is going, but I can't wait to find out. So Jeskai Ascendancy is the card that he has taken here. So let's see what's gonna be pick number 3 of pack 1 here for Corvese.
Yeah, both the Jeskai Ascendancy and the Seeker of the Way push him in a pretty clear direction to try to take some non-creature spells in a Jeskai sort of plan. And this is what I would think would be a clear pick for this strategy. Of Tri-Land going 3rd is already very good for him, and it happens to be the one exactly in his colors.
Yeah, Mystic Monastery is the card that he's brought forward here. You also see Treasure Cruise. There's Abomination of Gadul. There's also Sultai Scavenger. So he's got some options here. Alabaster Kirin as well. Looks like he's going to go with the land, so polite to show us in the camera there. So Mystic Monastery, the Jeskai Tri-Land, has been added to his deck. Good first 3 picks.
No, this is really good. If you want to play a card like Jeskai Ascendancy in what I imagine is an aggro style deck, you're going to need some mana fixing for it. And glad to see him prioritize that fairly early.
Windscarred Crag is a card that he has the ability to take here. There's also a Force Away. You can see Chief of the Edge, someone drafting a warrior deck. I don't think it's going to be Harry, though he does have the ability to change. Wow. Frontier Bivouac, certainly an option here.
So if you watched our last draft, this is the pack that Melissa opened.
Yep.
Harry's 3 seats down from her. She contemplated her first pick between Frontier Bivouac, Savage Knuckleblade, and Chief of the Edge. Both the Bivouac and the Edge are still going to be in the pack as late as pick 5. Not surprised to see the Black-White Soldier Warrior there, but I'm very surprised to see the Bivouac go so late.
As I saw Corvese take a copy of Force Away. So there's a Glacial Stalker there. There's also a Dragon's Eye Savant.
I mean, Force Away has got to just play right into the strategy of prowess creatures plus temporary disruption. If he's truly playing a Jeskai deck, and I think he's going for it, cards he's going to want are going to be cards like Force Away, Singing Bell Strike, and Defiant Strike to go with cards like Jeskai Wind Scout, Seeker of the Way, and Jeskai Elder.
Yeah. Let's see what Harry takes with this pick. There is a Jeskai Wind Scout, so that's a nice card to be looking at. You see Dazzling Ramparts as well. Would be surprised if he selects that one, but he's off to a really, really nice start here.
Yeah, the Wind Scout seems to play perfectly into what his deck wants to do. He has some disruption. He has a Jeskai Ascendancy. This is a real solid creature. Right now, this is, you know, we said Melissa was building a theme deck. Harry's doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, I really liked Melissa's start, and it's really hard not to when we watched her draft, but I like Harry's start as well here.
I would actually rather be on Harry's side. It is just as powerful. It's powerful not in an individual card's way, it's powerful in a high synergy way, but the difference is that Harry's mana base is very solid right now.
Rush of Battle is a card that he's considering at this point. You see Blossoming Sands being pulled forward. Maybe he wants to dabble a little bit, but it looks like he's going to go with Rush of Battle. Does want spells, right?
Yeah, he does want spells. Rush of Battle is a +2/+1. All right, that much is fine, but it does get some power up with prowess. Now it gives all your guys +3/+2, and though you generally think of it in a warrior deck, having it in a prowess deck certainly isn't bad.
See, there's a tracker there he might be considering.
Yeah, not to mention Seeker of the Way is a warrior.
That's true, actually. Did forget about that. Bloodfire Expert is the card he does select 3/1 prowess.
So more prowess cards. That one's a little off color for him. He knows he wants to be base. He looks to be building his deck base blue. Outside of that, a lot remains to be seen. This pick's pretty easy. It's the pack he opened, and he looks like he's wheeled a Crippling Chill.
And I think that's what he's going to select, and that's exactly what he does take. A good spell in what looks to be a pretty aggressive deck, I think, or at least he wants to be an aggressive deck, and then trigger the prowess, get his creatures a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger. So Crippling Chill seems ideal for this deck.
Yeah, the Crippling Chill seems like it's at its best in Jeskai. It's going to take that. Interestingly, goes for Barrage of Boulders there. There was a Jeskai banner. No look into that card.
I like Barrage of Boulders as a pick there. Force some damage through. Another spell, of course. Does seem pretty useful. Abomination of Gadul. That's a pretty late one of those. Doesn't look like anyone's really drafting Sultai.
Yeah, you'll remember in Pack 2 in this draft, if you watched Melissa's draft, you're going to see Sultai be very open. This is probably that first indication, if you were playing from Harry Spot, that you thought, hey, maybe this Sultai deck's pretty open. It's very late for Abomination of Gadul.
A couple of cards to round out things here. Looks like he's going to take that Defender very, very quickly.
Yeah, Keru Dreadmaw. Pick there. That guy, another Sultai-only card. So you see a lot of those coming around late. They're not the good ones, but they're ones that people could be playing. Time
to organize that curve. You do see Seeker of the Way, Jeskai Ascendancy. He's also got, of course, the Tri-Land for Jeskai, Mystic Monastery. So this is a good pack one with the potential for a whole lot in pack 2.
Yeah, he did not see much white outside of his first pick. I think ideally he'd like to be a blue-white Jeskai deck. He did, like I said, the white wasn't there pack 1, so he started to hedge a little bit with that Bloodfire Expert and take that guy. Maybe he can be a blue-red base. The danger with its prowess decks, you know, between Seeker of the Way and Bloodfire Expert, he probably doesn't want to be playing curve fillers in all 3 colors unless he has a really exceptional mana base.
Corvese going to lay out some cards here for pack number 2. Harry's the kind of guy he wants to see what the rare is. I hope he goes right there.
Always want to start at the rare. Got to know which card you're picking.
Snowhorn Rider says hello. Goblin Slide. First time seeing one of those this weekend for me. You see Horde Ambusher he's going to bring 4. You see a kill shot here. Another copy of Force Away. Nothing too crazy going on here for Harry. Just solid commons. Windscarred Crag as well.
Yeah, a weaker pack for him. I think the thing he needs to take aggressively if he wants to continue down this Jeskai path is he needs to make sure he gets enough creatures that put early pressure on. He's got great tricks. You see Crippling Chill, Force Away already in his pool. That much is great. He needs to make sure that when he casts these cards, he's getting excellent value out of them.
Force Away is what he will take. That's the second one of those, as you did mention, so.
The good news is this is what I've seen as an underplayed archetype. Cards like Jeskai Elder and Jeskai Wind Scout are going a lot later, I think, than you would expect that kind of card to go. A lot of players are really in this 2-color deck or morph style decks.
Ooh, now here's where things get a little bit interesting. There's an Anak Bondkin. There's also a Mardu Heartpiercer. Okay.
It's that red versus white question. He knows he's base blue. Which card does he want to fill the curve with? Both are very strong. Anak Bondkin, one of the top white commons, and better on his curve. Mardu Heartpiercer is probably a little more powerful, but you see right now, Harry going for a tempo-based strategy wants to make sure that his creatures start low on the curve.
See what pack 3 is going to bring him here. I like where his deck is headed for sure. Okay, the Warname Aspirant. What else do we have here?
Yeah, Warname Aspirant is great for his strategy. It's not really the right color. He's trying to minimize the red in his deck. Mardu Horde Chief is good. It's not great in his deck, but it is certainly, it's more on color with the direction he took with his last pick.
He's definitely got an option between 2 cards. See the cards he's bringing forward. I think he brings Rise of the Serpent forward just to make sure he knows that it exists. He's not going to take it. Something I do in drafts too is, I bring the removal forward or the instance, powerful sorceries, just to make sure, my mind sees that they are there. Something to be cognizant of.
So there you see Mardu Horde Chief was the selection, keeping in mind that he wants 2 colors.
You mentioned Singing Bell Strike. There's also a Bring Low in this pack, Hordling Outburst as well. So some real options here for Corvese.
Yeah, Hordling Outburst is a really powerful card. It's double red, and that would require a pretty big change to his deck. Singing Bellstrike is a good card for his deck, though he doesn't want to be too high on non-creature spells. Force Away, Crippling Chill. He can probably take 2 more of those. Singing Bellstrike's a good pick here.
Does need some more creatures with prowess, I think, but I still think that his deck is off to a really, really nice start. Has the way to pick some more of those up or maybe prioritize them as we do go here.
You don't want to play Singing Bellstrike in a deck that will give your opponent time to ever really untap the creature. And I think Harry's accomplished that right now.
Mystic of the Hidden Way brought forward very, very quickly. There is a Crippling Chill in the pack. You also see a Horde Ambusher there, so there are some options here. It does make you wonder how comfortable and familiar he is drafting in Jeskai decks. They're a lot different than some of the other decks that you can draft, or what he's been drafting this weekend, which have been those 5-color, sit-behind Archer's Parapet decks.
Yeah, remember, he was almost about to first pick a Mystic of the Hidden Way. He's got to see this as a pretty good signal.
There is an Archer's Parapet. Probably pains him a little bit to have to let that one go. It's done a lot of nice work for him this weekend.
Yeah, and even some Jeskai cards in here. Leaping Master, pretty good, but there's one of the high-priority Jeskai cards on top. It's a second copy of Jeskai Wind Scout.
I see there's also an Active Trees in there. You did mention the Leaping Master. I think if I'm him, I go with the Wind Scout. That's what he's going to do. Still, I like the composition of his deck. I really, really do. Weave Fate going to start things off here for this pick. Aha!
Yeah, Swiftwater Falls. It's a good time for him to be picking up a dual land. It's exactly the kind he wants to be. One of his main colors plus his splash color. This is a great time. He would have picked one earlier, but he's got to be pretty happy to get one so late.
That's part of the reason that Melissa maybe didn't see that one come back around, is because Harry's the one that picked it up.
Yeah, still 2 more cards before he starts seeing his own pack table. One thing of note, and this is something not necessarily to affect your picks, but something you want to be aware of, there's a lot of Hordling Outbursts going around very late in this draft.
Yeah, oddly enough, I just haven't really seen that card in action at all this weekend, as Corvese is going to pick up one of those. I don't doubt the power level of it. It isn't uncommon. It's basically a 3/3 for 3, and when you do have a card like Jeskai Ascendance in your deck, it is certainly interesting.
Yeah, red is pretty good, and I think because of cards like Jeskai Ascendancy, Harry's valuing that card a little higher than he may normally.
Trumpet Blast, a bit of a combo there with the Hordling Outburst.
Yeah, he's going to pick it. I don't know if he's going to be red enough to play either of those cards. These are some late picks. He's giving himself options. I think in an ideal world, he continues to just play blue-white aggro and just splash the red. He takes the Wetland Sandbar, but remember, this is where we definitely saw some late Sultai. There's 4 cards left, and Sultai Charm is still running around the table.
And it looks like no one is drafting that deck, and unless... I suppose there could be one person. If they are, they're doing it expertly.
Well, that Frontier Bivouac that Melissa opened did make it all the way to Harry. It seems unlikely that one of the 2 people between them is playing Sultai.
Yeah. Siegecraft. A couple of cards for Harry to look at here. There's also a Bloodfire Mentor. Looks like he will take the Siegecraft past those last 2 cards.
Yeah, because red's not a main color, he doesn't have any interest in a red 3-drop. So he'd rather take the Siegecraft. That's in his 2 colors. It's a non-creature spell. It's not great, but perhaps he can play it out of the board.
One last card here for Corvese. He'll give it a long look before picking up his deck and organizing all the toys.
And that last card was actually a gift for his deck. It's a copy of Act of Treason.
Yeah.
Act of Treason is a pretty specific card as to which decks want it, but it's actually a card that you're okay splashing for in your 3rd color when you're playing a 3-color deck. It does function really well in the late game.
Harry going to organize his spells and his curve and all that jazz and figure out what his deck is up to. And you've mentioned it quite a few times that he is blue-white with the red is probably the splash. I think he's going to try to look through his cards and make sure that he knows that moving forward for pack number 3.
Yeah, so his creature base right now, he has a good amount of 3s. He has 2 Jeskai Wind Scouts, some quality morphs. His 2-drops, he does have the premier one in Seeker of the Way, but otherwise it's Wetland Sandbar. He does have an Einok Bondkin. So 2 good 2-drops. I think he would like to add probably 2 more quality 2-drops to his deck in this 3rd pack if he can. Outside of that, he's really just upgrading a lot of his cards. He's already 18 cards toward his deck, so he can be pretty picky here. He can take lands highly. He can take really just reach for more powerful options.
Let's see who's able to find this back. Going to start things off with the Highland game. There's an Arc Lightning that he quickly brings to the front. Warden of the Eye, Bloodstained Mire. We found the person who opened up that fetch land.
Yeah, Arc Lightning, and we talk about really powerful cards. Arc Lightning's one of them. However, he actually has a choice. Arc Lightning's in his splash color, and Suspension Field is a great 2-mana removal spell in one of his main colors. And I wouldn't be surprised if he actually goes with the white card, even though it's a little less powerful.
Yeah, it looks like he's really eyeing up that Suspension Field. So this does get a little bit interesting now at this point. See some other cards here that are pretty nice that he wants to be aware of that can potentially wheel, but it looks like maybe Suspension Wheel's the choice of the day. Though Arc Lightning does come back to the front here briefly. There is a real choice to make here. I do agree with your assessment that Arc Lightning is probably more powerful, but Suspension Field is on color and therefore more consistent.
Right, and he goes with Suspension Field. It's a closer than you may normally think. Normally you just would take the on-color removal spell, but because Harry has 2 Forceaways and a Crippling Chill, he's actually already well equipped to deal with one big creature, whereas a lot of little creatures pose a greater threat. That said, on-color is on-color, and he still went for the Suspension Field.
Leaping Master, a card that he has brought forward here.
Yeah, it's a pretty weak back for him. I don't know if Treasure Cruise is something his deck actually can run. He's very tempo-oriented, and the card's very slow.
The Master is the card he will select. Take a look at this pack, get some information, see that Bear's Companion there. Make sure he knows that that's something that he does have to worry about, as that's a very powerful uncommon. As we'll see what pick 3 is going to be here for Harry in pack number 3 in just a moment. Still do like his deck. Like what he has found here. There's a copy of Arrow Storm, Singing Bellstrike very quickly brought to the front. Mardu Rough Rider hasn't gotten any love in this draft. Everybody's just going by that thing.
And there's actually, it looks like there's a Pearl Lake Ancient hiding at the back of the pack that we haven't seen yet. I don't think Harry has gone that deep in it.
Yeah,
that's the Mythic Rare.
You ever played with that one yet?
I haven't played it yet, so I'll be interested to see what Harry thinks of it. It doesn't seem he thinks very highly. He's going to go for another Singing Bellstrike.
Yeah.
His deck, I mean, as a tempo deck, that card is very expensive for him, and I understand him not wanting to really look at it. Bellstrike, and actually, you can see this sometimes with pro players. Early in a format, you can say, maybe this Ancient is pretty good, but Bellstrike is what my deck wants. I know it's good. Why risk it here?
I'm pretty sure, if I'm Harry, my thought process, I have got an idea of how good Singing Bellstrike is. I'm also in the top 8 here, too. I don't want to take any risks. If I've never played with a Pearl Lake Ancient, that'll be somebody else's problem, and hopefully I'm not too wrong about it.
Yeah. Good chance that Pearl Lake is not correct for his deck.
It's expensive.
It's expensive. It's expensive. I mean, it is very good in the late game, but I think the 2-mana removal is where he wants to be. You see, he got another copy of Swiftwater Cliffs with his next pick. That's his 3rd dual land for the deck. All of them make red. And here's a couple late gifts for his deck he's going to have to choose between.
Jeskai Charm, Arrow Storm over there. It's pretty nice.
I was wondering earlier, we saw Melissa pick up a really late Jeskai Wind Scout pack 3, and I was thinking, how did that possibly get by Harry? His deck's all about Jeskai Wind Scout. This answers it. There was still a Jeskai Charm.
I think we did figure it out, didn't we? And it's hard to pass up on a Jeskai Charm. That card's mighty powerful, great card in his deck, so he will select that one. And we'll see what he wants to pick now with this brand new pack that he hasn't seen before. Secret Plans among the cards that he is looking at here. Bloodfire Mentor as well. See another copy of Treasure Cruise. There's the Mentor. If he does get into a kind of a long game situation, that one's a little bit interesting. Does play defense pretty well.
Yeah, I don't think he wants to play Mentor off the splash, which is why you see him go for Treasure Cruise. Not necessarily true that he'll play the Treasure Cruise in the main, but there are matchups certainly where he'll want a draw 3 effect. And right now, with no other Delve cards in his list, there's nothing else competing for those graveyard slots.
Take a look at some cards here. Deflecting Palm is very quickly brought forward.
Yeah, he's got good options here. Deflecting Palm, a great racing card, and looks like a card that Harry values very highly.
Took it really quick.
Yeah, there was a River Wheel Aerialists. That's another big flyer. Technically, it has prowess, though, because it's a 6-drop flyer, it doesn't, you wouldn't consider it a staple of the prowess deck. It plays about the same whether you're a prowess deck or not. It's a big flyer.
Yeah. What do we see here? Kill Shot and a Crippling Chill. There's also an Anak Tracker.
Yeah, Crippling Chill is good for this deck, but with 2 Singing Bell Strikes, 2 Force Aways, and 1 Crippling Chill already to go with this deflecting problem, he really just doesn't need more instants. The creature base is where his deck needs work, and I think that's why he takes Inoc Tracker over it's probably a better card in Crippling Chill.
Yeah, I think he needs to work on giving the beatdowns, right? This is not a bad place to be either. Warden of the Eye here looks to be pretty nice. There's a Monastery Flock that can provide him with some defense and another Morph creature for something to do on turn number 3, but I like Warden of the Eye a lot.
Yeah. Warden of the Eye, he got to actually table that card. Part of the same cycle as Bear's Companion. High pick for his deck, and I think, to me, says he's the only Jeskai player at the table.
Harry's going to take Archer's Parapet. That's mostly out of respect to how great that card is. He's not going to let anybody else have that.
Doesn't want to attack through one, that much is for sure.
See what he picks up here. Aerostorm, very late one, mind you.
Yeah, I don't know if he can cast it. One card I was wondering about was Quiet Contemplation. That was the enchantment in there that when you play a non-creature spell, you may pay 1 to tap a creature and it doesn't untap. Harry with that pick basically saying that card he doesn't think is particularly playable. If it were good in any deck, I would imagine it would be good in the deck he's building.
Time to take a look. A Tormenting Voice and a Siegecraft. Tormenting Voice going to go in. Siegecraft going to go over. And Harry's last card. It's just a Lens of Clarity.
Lens of Clarity. That is the last card in a lot of my drafts.
That one's not all that exciting, but what I can say is Harry's deck is pretty exciting. I like what he has put together here. If I have to compare the two, which I don't, but